I just started. We have Lauren Heights.
That's a good view.
Yeah, for like,
Oh, that's so cool. Look at technology.
I'm gonna send them
Oh
an
wait, can
email.
they hear me?
Yes.
Oh.
I just started.
can get started in a minute. No, we'll be starting with Cheryl wants to get started.
I can't tell. So I said, if you need help, just Yep.
Hey, good morning, everyone. Welcome. Welcome. This is such a friendly group. It always takes us just a few minutes as we start to get moving. Shows how collegial we are and how we all work together. We're glad to see each other. Deep relationships and partnerships. So it's always great to get together. My name is Rob Mahaffey. I'm with the Rural School and Community Process, which is a national advocacy organization that focuses on rural schools, children, and families. We have a small Washington, D.C. office of that image, and there's staff all over the country living in rural places and working in rural schools. And I'm honored and privileged to be vice chairman of this coalition, and it's an honor and it's a thrill not only to know all of you, but to be able to do the work that we do for children around the country. I'm standing in for our chair, Lisa Villarreal, who couldn't make it today, and her shoes are very big. So I'm not nearly as articulate and I'm nearly as proud. So I'll do what I can in this capacity today to work with you. I'd also like to welcome those who are joining us on Google Hangout. There's the Google Hangout face right there, and also those folks that may be on the phone. So we really are convening at a very critical time for this coalition. An exciting time, but a very critical time. And that is because those of you, all of you know, many of you have been more closely involved than others in the process. But we have been building our strategic plan moving forward. We are very excited about the elements of the plan, the prospects, the outcomes that we all share as we move forward this coalition. That clearly will be the focus of today's gathering. We also are really at a critical time when it comes to policy. Those of you that have been following what's happening in New York City, it's really a sort of Marty and Mary on this, but really it is unprecedented in a lot of ways. The mayor of such an incredibly large and diverse metropolitan area who really has committed his prestige, his agenda, his administration, and is relatively young, to really looking at community schools and supporting them. So yes, let's applaud the mayor. So that's going to be a topic of conversation today as well. So before we do a quick round of introductions, I want to ask your attention to the agenda. Pretty basic, and we'll look to our excellent coalition staff and our leader, Marty Blank, to get us through that agenda. I think we're going to have a great few hours together. I do want to again compliment the staff of the coalition, all of you on the staff, raise your hands, please. Because we wouldn't be here if it wasn't for the coalition staff. Our organization happens to sublet space from the Institute for Education and Leadership and the coalition. And so I see them every day. And I know how hard they work. So let's give a hand to the staff. So with that, let's do a crowd grenade organization to get more clear.
Any highlight of your work related to youth?
Sure.
Quick highlight.
Great. Sure, absolutely. Ryan. Ryan Fox. Foundation. So, and a highlight of your work.
Actually, working with communications and coalition at North Nigeria is one of our housing partners.
Good to see you.
Mark Bishop with the Schools Campaign. We're also a new partner with the second novels and panel discussions.
Welcome.
Good morning. I'm Amy Thatcher with the Campaign for Great Home Reading. A partner of ours, Coalition for Community Schools, we've been engaged at the national level, and then obviously many of the members of our network of 147 communities are community schools.
Good morning. I'm Dawn Huckleberg, I'm the Policy and Programs Director for the Young Elected Officials Network and People for the American Foundation. We have a network of elected officials under the large number of school board members, and education policy is always our top. Interest area specific.
I'm Cody Oliver with American Promise Alliance. As everyone has said, we're all sort of connected already in different ways. So a lot of work that we're doing now, both locally and nationally. So I know one thing we're focused on is going around the country and doing 100 summits. And this is coming up as part of the conversation.
My name is Sam Burrow from Citizen Schools. We are a national nonprofit that works during time. We are a partner.
I'm Naomi Close. I'm with the Atlantic Communities of the Children in Need support and making and also support national.
I'm Sandy Rubio, also with the National Campaign.
Nathan Smith with Listen, the Galen State Education Network. We are a leading organization with heavily investment in K-12 coalition for.
I'm Abby Frankel, the Center for Popular Democracy. We're working in alliance with national level with NEA, AOT, and several other community organizing networks. One of our main pushes nationally with our organizations in the region. A highlight is that I just got off the phone with folks in Baltimore who are putting together some exciting work with members of this group, the Family Safety and the union.
Good morning, I'm Megan Consumers, Public Policy Manager with the Coalition, and one highlight is getting to see all our different partners network with each other from all different organizations. So thanks for being here.
I'm Jennifer Doran. I work at the Charter National Center on Poverty Law and manage the public policy work at Elevate.
I'm Bob Slidell. I'm with the National Summer Learning Association and also the Baltimore Community and School Engagement Strategy Steering Committee along with Elevate. And I'm very pleased to report from the national perspective that Summer Learning Day, the first day of summer this year, there were a record number of events, nearly 700 events around the country, highlighted by an event here in DC with more than 100 students and the first day.
Good morning. Good morning, everyone. My name is Nicole Johnson. I'm the director of Elevate Baltimore. Earlier today was shared, Elevate is a model, and Baltimore is one of the top 4 locations around the country with Elevate initiatives. We're also in Chicago, Oakland, and
My name is Andrew Bell. I'm
chairperson of the National School Alliance, a national organization based in DC, working with about 26,000 national providers around the country. In terms of corporate community schools, we've been doing a lot of work lately. Mary and other folks from the Coalition on the Hill trying to promote introduction to dysfunction diploma act, and we have federal legislation on critical support.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Ruben Jacobson. I'm the Senior Associate for Research and Strategy.
Hi, everyone. I'm Ave Apia. I am the manager of operations partnership here at the Coalition. I manage the Coalition there.
My name is Rebecca Moore. I'm the senior fellow at Coalition on behalf of the Ministry of Partnership Segment. And I was just recently hired, so I'm kind of excited to see how this comes out for the Coalition.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Beth Renner. I'm a partner.
I'm Kathy Beck, and I am a summer intern with the State Directors of Special Education, and that's really all I can tell you. I'm here to learn.
Welcome.
Hi, I'm Barbara Hinch from NEA. I work with our priority schools, and we continue to support our members who are involved in community schools. I'm 17 from Ohio, North Carolina, and Nevada, the community schools conference.
Hi, I'm Sophie Villar. I'm the manager of National Partnership worldwide, and several of our local communities are involved in community schools, and our movement are very excited about it. They're way and kids are involved with Mayor de Blasio community schools initiative, so we're so excited about it.
And then we're going to also work with the National Fund some opportunities for policy issues that most of our organization does work with schools and times, some of which are community schools that all of our students might.
Good morning. I'm Sanjay Rao. I'm a program officer in the Education Community College at the Ford Foundation. And many development partners are in the room. We focus on education justice and equity through our grant making. And our grant making is national. Our grant making is national, and in many of our sites, community schools are exemplars of what we're trying to get out of our more. One specific highlight, referencing the work happening in New York, emerging in New York. I was recently invited, along with I'm sure several others in the room, to participate on the implementation advisory board on behalf of the foundation for implementation. So, first meeting next week. Great.
I'm Cheryl Williams with Rutgers Alliance, and we're focusing our efforts right now on showcasing states that are doing a good job and coalescing with their communities and their educators and standards that's built around those concepts. It is very much
You all know the Learning First Alliance.
AAM used to also share space with ideology. But no. But anyway, yeah. Both at the AFT, NEA, the AESA, schools organization, we try and share information amongst ourselves.
Hi, I'm Sarah James. I'm the Director of Policy and External Relations at National Youth Assembly, National Collaboration for Youth, where
Hi, I'm Anna Bryan with the Learning First Alliance in Chicago.
I'm Bill Dessar with the Youth Service Council in Tulsa, Oklahoma. We sponsor the Tulsa area schools initiative in terms of highlights and moving a little bit of a different direction than we've been doing in terms of hiring staff, coordinators, and so forth. All that's being now by Tulsa.
Leslie Gatchell from Tulsa, Community Service Council with Phil, and one of the areas of the area that I work primarily in is in early childhood. So we're looking at the integration of a birth through age initiative, and my background is developmental screening and little ones. And so we've got several efforts going on. We've got a summer transition camp going on right now for incoming kindergartners with their parents, but they're also bringing their siblings. So we're including siblings and doing developmental screenings and families at that level where they get.
Hi, I'm Joanne Beats from the National Center for Community Partnerships at the University of Pennsylvania. Our work is on universities. We're currently in the process of selecting our third regional center as a training center on the model. And we're always rolled out to hopefully we have funding for the school district, and that we actually will open in September.
Hi, I'm Sarah Jonas. I'm with the Children's Aid Society National Center for Community Partnerships. We have 17 community schools in New York City, and we also take technical assistance for community schools nationwide. Currently, we are very excited about our work in New York City. We are partnering with the New York City, and we will be providing the technical assistance to the work group of community schools in New York City. Good morning. I'm Jackie Ball. I'm with the National Association of Secondary School Principals at DFS Policy. We have many members who lead community schools, and actually one of our great school principals this year.
I'm Kevin Lindsay. I do education policy for First Focus, and we're a national bipartisan children's.
A couple of folks here. Our tech experts. I'm Hugo Logan. I'm from University of Michigan Interning Coalition.
Hi, I'm Brooke Troutman. I'm also interning. I'm from Northwestern University.
Great. Anybody else in the room that we haven't introduced? Oh, you. That was intentional. I'm sorry.
I love that. So I'm always struck when we do this, how these connections have grown and deepened over time. Now called the Mark and Health Schools campaign on Health Plus Education Collaborative. The United Way in New York signed on to our press release. How the community schools work is so important. We have friends from Tulsa here. So there's, we've got our education organizing colleagues who have chosen the community schools vision. So it's really very always satisfying to see people come and be able to see the connections and links. And we probably should do a better job of reporting to you on all of those things as we go forward, so you can see what some of these partnerships are doing. The other thing I have to do is I have to introduce myself again, because my colleague Tracy Rollins would say, who introduced himself? Did you introduce yourself as the president of the Institute of Leadership? Of course, as you all know, IEL is the home of the coalition. And I mentioned it today because you will see at the bottom of that agenda that IEL is 50 years old. Born in 1964, when people were first trying to figure out what national role there was in the education of disadvantaged children. We were lucky enough that the Ford Foundation, one of Sanjeev's wonderful colleagues and me, recognized the need for new leadership in Washington. And that's where the Institute was born. And so, for a little nonprofit without the membership that you all have, Kevin understands what it's like to be a nonprofit that is always having to make its case. To be around for 50 years is a real achievement. So I want to be sure that all of you are aware of that. You can go to our website, click on the video that we did, will give you a better sense of all the other work.
And our leader. So before I kick it over to Mary, is there any way that we can acknowledge us on the phone or the people? I don't know. So the tech people.
Just right here.
Say hi. Hi there. All of you out there. We're glad you're here. So with that, Mary, it's yours.
Thanks, Rob. Good morning, everyone, again. So before we get into the strategic planning discussion, we wanted to give you a brief update on what we're up to and where we're headed. So first we're going to start with some slides that we actually showed at the National Forum. How many of you were at the Forum in Cincinnati? All right, that's a good number. So let's start with the first slide. So Lisa Villarreal, our Secretary of Community Care, presented this at the Forum, what we call the state of the field. So we are working not only as a coalition, but in the field of community schools and education. So this slide just kind of is a reminder of the stats today and why we are emphasizing equity so much in our new strategic plan. We all know these stats, we see them all together, remind ourselves of this, remind us that we have a lot of work to do, and they ground us in our conversations today and our work going forward. And again, you've seen this smartphone analogy, so that's just a reminder that the common way we talk to people about these schools, not necessarily heard of them, is to use this analogy, and the fact that in these schools there are different apps you can access. Health services, young engagement, for folks who are in. At the same time that there's such a need across the country, we are also encouraged by such a rapid growth of community schools across the country. So in 2007, only some years ago, we counted about 33 places across the country operating networks of community schools. As of 2014, that has tripled, and it is now about 100 places. So it's in large part thanks to our partners, all of you, for spreading the word, for connecting people and networking. So we're thrilled that this is happening. And everywhere in New York City, where they're getting 40 more schools, to surrounding places like Detroit that has just launched this the past year. So we know that this is a challenge for us at the same time with capacity to try to keep track, but I think it speaks to the need to collaborate even more with partners so that we all can help each other identify these places and work together to really move them up. So this is a slide showing some of what we feel are accomplishments and certain impact areas in community schools recently. So first I want to reference a report that came out a couple months ago by Child Trends, research organization in Bethesda, that looked at what they call integrated student services, or ISS, which was a study of actually a lot of community schools across the country, so in schools, beacon schools, and others. And there were some really encouraging results that we are using now in our literature. So they found that in their rigorous self-evaluation, there's growing evidence that community schools produce greater retention and dropout rates while increasing attendance, math achievement, and grade point average. And this was a very good study that we can reference going forward. I'll just highlight a few of these impact areas to show you some stats of where these good things are happening. So in terms of community schools really make an impact in terms of keeping students in school. So you've heard some folks who are from Elevate here, and they did an evaluation of Elevate community schools that showed that 8th grade students who consistently attended out-of-school time activities were significantly more likely to participate in high school planning activities, such as spending the day shadowing at a high school of interest, attending a test prep class, or attending a mock high school interview, than students with lower OST participation. So getting kids involved in some of these career and college planning activities really helps them persist in school. Another highlight, all of you know this, we're in Cincinnati, is around academic achievement and engagement results that I've been able to show from there. So if you were there, you heard their story that in 2000, before they adopted the strategy, the graduation rate was around 50%. Over cleaning the system, it just wasn't good. It was actually a state academic emergency. As of 2011, when almost all their schools are now community learning centers, the graduation rate is almost 85%. The Black-White achievement gap has significantly reduced, and their test scores are improving as well. And lastly, from our friends at the Children's Aid Society, we have a great study to look at a different indicator, which is social return on investment. You've heard that phrase before. So looking at the social value of what community schools contribute. And their study showed that for the community schools in New York that they studied, every dollar spent returns between $10.30 and $14.80 of social value. So if we have that research, we know that this is a good investment, and we can use that with people on the Hill and with people in the field. So this slide shows you our growing networks as well, and we consider our partners as a really valuable network. You kind of fingers in the system at all levels because a lot of you have local folks, state folks, and national folks. Great. But on the right-hand side, all the orange networks are actually internal networks to the coalition. So at the top, we have 300 community school coordinators connected through an online website sharing best practices, resources. We have a School Leadership Network, where those are the leaders of our community school initiatives across the country. There's 69 of them now. We have a newly formed Superintendent Leadership Council in partnership with AASA, School Superintendents, and they met at a forum. They're meeting next year in San Diego for the AASA forum. There's 45 of them involved. We have our Community School State Network, which we'll talk about in a second, which pulls together folks looking at state policy, and United Way Learning Community, which is newly formed this year as well, to try to map out and strengthen where those two or schools and United Way chapters exist together. On the left-hand side are actually all the external networks across the country that formed on their own and that we support and connect. So at the top we have Children's Aid Society and National Center for Community Schools, Better Center, both of these folks are here today, and Partnership for Children Youth in California and a few more. In the past couple of years, we've also made great strides in policy wins. So at the top, you can see that since 2008, there has been $50 million invested in full-service schools. Great. Is led to 21 grantees in 64 schools. And that does not count the $10 million we got this year, for fiscal year 14. So those grants will be coming out in September. We'll be adding that. At the state level, this is really where we're seeing the most growth and momentum for community schools. Just last year, New York appropriated $15 million in a grant. Community schools, EC gave $1 million, and we got that $1 million for the next fiscal year as well. And then you saw New Mexico pass legislation as well as Connecticut to explicitly support community schools. We also have statewide access organizations in Illinois and in New Mexico and other places explicitly supporting this. And then if you go to our website, you can find some examples of local policies as well, such as intergovernmental resolutions from Multnomah County, Oregon, and school board policies such as Cincinnati, Hartford, and district-wide strategies such as in Oakland. So we just want to share this video with you. You may have seen it if you were at the forum. It's on the website.
All children are filthy.
Okay. So this is a great story about how we start from the ground up and we can celebrate it here together. This video was created by actually community school students at an Oakland high school in a multimedia class. And they actually made an animated video to describe what community schools are. Because as you know, it's pretty difficult to explain what they are. So if you can picture, you were there and you saw that the two students who created this actually flew to Cincinnati from Oakland. One of them said they had never left the state. They were pretty nervous, but after we showed the video, we brought them up on stage and the whole 1,400 people gave them a standing ovation. So let's watch.
All children are filled with light, fire, and wonder. Every child needs nurturing and care for their light to shine, their fire to burn, and their sense of wonder to expand. Right now, our country remains divided by predictable patterns, high rates of violence, and a lack of connection. And in the middle of it all, our students are falling through the cracks. Too often, kids come to school in a state that interferes with learning, carrying the baggage of fear, hunger, physical pain, and psychological distress. They don't have opportunities to plan and learn after school and in the summer, and college seems like a faraway dream. It's only by coming together as a community that we can create thriving students who will climb and meet their full potential. That's going to take work. It's going to take a change in mindset. We must break the system built on division and build in its place a new model that connects individuals, families, neighborhoods, schools, and other institutions together with the understanding that our fates are linked. This country can only reach its potential if we help our children develop the skills required for success in school, career, and life. The goal is thriving students. The vision is community schools. Community schools are welcoming, fun, and attractive spaces for students and families to use before, during, and after the school day. In this approach, the school acts as the hub of the community, working with public and private partners to serve children, their families, and their neighborhood. Youth development opportunities, health, and social services are not seen as extra or complementary. They are integrated. The fabric of the school is an essential part of its DNA. Every community school responds to local needs, and all community schools provide a safe, healthy, and supportive environment for students. Collaborate with community partners to enhance learning and create enriching opportunities for students. Develop the knowledge and skills needed for students to succeed in college, career, and life. More and more schools and communities across the country are working toward the day when every school is a community school, providing every child with high-quality instruction with a focus on college and career, and expanded learning opportunities beyond the school day, health, nutrition, and physical education, and strong family and community engagement. That includes access to crucial family support systems, such as housing, language learning, and employment. The road is long and the work is hard, but it's the most important work there is. Please join us as we work to create a nation full of community schools and thriving students.
Let them know you gave them a big round of applause. Yep.
What's been the reaction to hearing what you've done
It's been great. I've shared this with field staff, with potential new partners, people in the field, and I think they get it when they see this video. You know, it's not just what it is, but it's a theory of change as well. So I think you have to kind of talk about it, talk about both at the same time. So yeah, I encourage you all to use this with video people. So I want to hand it over to my colleague Devin to talk about the National Forum.
Just a word while Devin comes up. You know, the things that I think are particularly important in this video now are you may have seen the kid with all the baggage, right? You saw the kid with the baggage and the walking up to him, and the kid climbing, right? So that's a really important and powerful part of the message we're trying to communicate. So it's not just about what everybody does for young people. It's that you're trying to create conditions so young people can climb and can succeed. You know, in Gordon, the wonderful academic, emeritus at Yale, he talks about agency. So we're trying to talk more about that because it bridges people who think that sometimes all the institutions are going to work together and just want to help young people, as opposed to creating conditions that allow them to climb and succeed. So it's an important message, I think, to keep in mind.
So as Mary mentioned, April 9th to 11th, we held our Community School National Forum in Cincinnati, Ohio. It was our largest conference yet, with over 1,400 people in attendance from across the country and internationally. This year, the growth of the forum this year and the enthusiasm and energy around it was a large part of you all, our partners. So we want to give a big thank you for that. Here you'll see some highlights regarding the forum. So over 98% of respondents to our forum feedback survey were satisfied with the forum overall, and many of them highlighted the site visits, the role-like sessions, and the swimming sessions as some of the most valuable sessions that they've seen after the forum. And we also greatly appreciate all of the role that our various partners played in making the forum a success. We'd like to give a special thank you to our partners who helped us with our role-like sessions. And also to all of those who helped us in our plenary and mission center sessions. So let's give a round of applause to you all. You may also remember that this year our forum theme emphasized equity and opportunity. So we wanted to show you a clip from the forum of Cincinnati School Board President Eve Bolton. And in her speech, she highlighted some of these themes of equity and opportunity and how Cincinnati Learning Centers are working to combat that. So
CLCs are in our DNA. They are our history and our chosen future. Schools as CLCs have reawakened that heritage for us. They've helped revitalize our history, and we think may have even helped spur the renaissance that is occurring in many of our 56 neighborhoods. What's old is new again. That usually happens when you have a good idea. The early history may help tell the Cincinnati story, but more contemporary events nationally may better explain the growing American interest in the community school movement and the ever-increasing sense of urgency regarding their implementation, particularly in urban districts. Consider for a moment a timeline that begins with white flight and middle-class assertion from urban to suburban America. Remember particularly the 70s and the 80s when the abandonment became so apparent in most urban classrooms. Recall the resulting loss to the urban school districts of both tax base as well as the loss of engaged tax-paying community members who were experienced and comfortable enough and used to influencing and even determining how their schools would work. As you all know, poverty's real cost to the urban school districts is not the loss of student aptitude or IQ, absolutely not that, but rather is the loss of empowered citizens experienced in demanding positive outcomes for their public schools.
So again, thank you all to our partners for helping us to push out more empowered citizens in the world and creating more equity society. So thank you again for all your help this morning and with the coalition.
Hi, we're interactive, we're making these so I'm thinking a little bit about the directory. We heard about how thankful we are for everything that you've done as partners in the past, and we wouldn't be opposed to being asking you to do even more for us, for all of us. One of those things is this directory. We talked about it at the partners meeting, the last partners meeting in January. The goal of this directory, which I'm glad to be here, we're thankful for the Ford Foundation for support in creating this, is to capture the scope of community schools, to help schools see where they are along the continuum of being a community school, so that they can grow, and then be able to connect schools and institutions to one another. We get questions all the time about how many community schools are out there. We get a lot of that from press, and we have pretty good estimates, but we'd like to be able to have a better answer. And more importantly, this issue of connection, being able to have places that are starting. You can see there's a lot of different initiatives, a lot of different types of schools in Baltimore that's happening all over the place. So we need to get a way for them to see each other on the map. So the update to this is that our CSLN, for those of you who don't know, that's our Community Schools Leadership Network. Those are the initiative leaders from the 80-some initiatives around the country. Have asked us to capture the initiative level as well. So not just schools, but where is this happening at the systems level. And we're going to be doing that. We have drafted that already, but it was important for them to be able to see each other and connect. What we've done is create we purchased Salesforce, which is I talked to a lot of you, a lot of partners helping me through this contact management system that's going to allow us to track our contacts and our partners and really have things organized. We're really excited about this. I don't know if the staff is excited about it. And we're going to release this out into the world. That's what we really need your help with. We've been piloting it for the last few weeks, and in the next few weeks, we're going to be sending, if you go to the next slide, the directory, the school level directory out there. There's a couple different ways we think we're going to be able to access it. We're going to create, this will be one of the first things you see on our website. So certainly, you know, the hundreds of thousands of people that come to our website will see it and be able to click and fill out the directory, give us their contact information, tell us a little bit about what they're doing, and then along important dimensions. Do they have a community school coordinator, site council, what are they doing around more and better learning? 100,000 contacts. I think we'll get a lot of people that way. Obviously, the initiatives are going to send it to their schools, but key to us is going to be having you as partners send it out in your newsletters, which have a much, much broader reach. So our thinking is we're going to create a little text to give you and send it out in your newsletters. And we don't have to spend time on it right now, but if there are other ways that work best for you to be able to get this out, you know, if you have a really strong Twitter following or something like that, then please let me know. Because getting in partnerships, you've been doing this very well for us when we release reports. We're going to ask you to do it again. We think that's the way that we're going to be able to capture a lot of the places that we don't know about already. Any questions about the director?
I would just add one thing, you know, when we do this, what we're going to also want to try to do is make sure that people aren't, this is our great challenge, you know, because you saw Eve, she presents the dilemma. Our friend Amy here is going to solve this in the next 10 minutes. You know, people call it CLCs in Cincinnati, they call it community schools, they have other names for what is a very similar way of thinking. So we want to make sure that this, what we call it community school directory, we want it to be seen in an inclusive way so we get people coming into the tent and seeing what we're trying to do. That's always a challenging thing, particularly in an era when more and more initiatives, more and more things are quote branded. So we'll have to work on that, but your help in that regard would be great. Eric?
All right, so I'll be quick with the policy updates. So for the first slide, this is a federal policy. So I emailed hopefully all of you a couple days ago about an exciting update that one of our key bills, the Full Service Community Schools Act, will be introduced very shortly and be bipartisan. So yeah, that's what happened. So it's by Sadie Boyer from Maryland and Aaron Shaw from Illinois. And what was funny is I was on a call with their press people the other day, and I mentioned to them that actually the Wall Street Journal was interested in covering this, which is really exciting. And at first I thought that you know, the members of Congress would be too busy to talk to them, but Mr. Schaaf's staff member picked up and said, no, he'd be thrilled to talk to Wall Street Journal. So yeah, he reads it every day. So it's these things that you can't really plan for that are nice for. So that actually is supposed to be introduced this week. It's going to be now July 23rd or 24th. So we are absolutely still accepting organizational support for that. So if you have to email me and you can support it, please let me know. If any of your exact job or quotes of support, we'd be happy to post those as well. And on the Senate side, the full service bill has submitted from Senator Manchin of West Virginia to be introduced. He has been searching for Republican co-sponsors. So it's been pretty delayed. And his support for this is largely through his wife, actually, which happens a lot, where she's actually the president of the West Virginia State Board of Ed, and really strong proponent of community schools. The AFT is working with them in McDowell County in particular, and the State Board of Ed is actually expected to approve a plan to spread community schools to the rest of the state. So really exciting. The Diploma Act is another key bill. Essentially, it would give block grants to states and then sub-grants to local consortia to create do an assets and needs assessment of child and youth outcomes, and then create a plan to address those outcomes based on their specific assets and needs. So in some local areas, it may be early childhood that's a need. In other areas, it may be dropout prevention. And implicit in that is a community school strategy. It has been introduced in the House by Judy Chu in California. Last June, it has 21 co-sponsors, and will be introduced here in early September by Senator Sanders of Vermont. The Supporting Community Schools Act is our third key bill, and that would make the community school strategy one of the Title I school turnaround strategies. We feel that it's so needed in the highest need schools that this is an important bill for that. So it has been introduced in both houses by Senator Sanders, again in Vermont, and then Representative Khanna in California. In terms of funding, we shared the great news at our last partners meeting that the fiscal year 14 omnibus bill actually included $10 million for full service community schools, the program, which is wonderful. So far for fiscal year 15, we only know about the Senate subcommittee appropriations. In that meeting, or the markup, the full service program received $4.6 million. So it's not a $10 million that we had asked for, but it's not zero. So we will try to work on both sides to get that out for the fiscal year. So as I mentioned before, state policy has become really exciting to see how much momentum is getting. At the same time that federal policy is stalled, now we're seeing more governors and state legislators taking action. So we already talked about the exciting news out of New York City that there's $52 million to launch 40 new schools. And it's a wonderful example of the partnership that we have with United Way. We wanted to note with at least one community organizer representative here that we are seeing and are getting more involved in community organizers actually being involved in state and local advocacy, which is really exciting. So it's not just advocacy with education folks, but it's education and community, which is what community schools try to accomplish. So this is exciting and a little bit messy work and complex, but we are working with different organizations to try to do that. Yeah. The last one? Yeah, I'll get to that. So the meeting is going to be in late October, and it's going to be in Chicago. And I want to thank one of our funders here, Sanjeev from the Ford Foundation, for recognizing the growth in state policy and giving us this grant to be able to bring together teams from 6 states that we identified to really think through how to establish a state network. In our mind, we're kind of thinking these would be essentially mini coalitions at their best, that they would network different school places across the state, that they would advocate and communicate effectively about the strategy and provide professional development and networking. So these 6 states we identified because they have either they have both a critical amount of places across the state or enough useful places operating and a supportive policy environment to really see some action. So we're excited about that, and we're forming the agenda now, getting feedback from the field about what would really be helpful in this kind of meeting, and we'll certainly keep you updated about what comes out of it. And hopefully that will be a template for other states to work on as well. So briefly before we turn it over to Marty, I wanted to share some highlights of partner collaboration for you, and I want to just remind you that this list is not exhaustive. We've had a lot of great collaborations with different partners, and just wanted to highlight some big ones that have occurred. So the top one we mentioned earlier, there's a new learning network between United Way chapters and community schools, and this was really from our national folks and actually our Lehigh Valley United Way kind of pushing us all to think about, okay, how do we strengthen some of the places we coexist, and how do we build partnerships where we both are located that don't have a partnership. So that they're having monthly calls for that learning network, and it's perhaps a model for other partners with us to do that. The second bullet is about a guide specifically for school members that we co-published with a number of partners, really around recommending personal opportunity plans, or POPs, as you call them, and it highlighted community schools as an effective strategy to implement POPs. So we're grateful for Opportunity Learning Campaign, National School Boards Association, Rural School and Community Trust, ACEL, and NEA-AFT for collaboration. Opportunity Learning Campaign infographic in your folder is the infographic, and they did one on alternatives to school closures. So now that we see a lot of cases in Chicago and other places where you're closing dozens of schools, they came up with this infographic to show that doesn't have to be the norm in the way we do things. So they highlighted community schools as an alternative way to, instead of close down a school, invest more resources and invest the community in ownership to make it thrive. ASA, we have as I mentioned, superintendent network with them, and they also sponsored a formal award for us. We gave an award to the superintendent of Vallejo, who has done excellent work in trying to make Burke District a full-service community school district. Also, the National League of Cities gave us their president, Mayor Chris Coleman from St. Paul, Minnesota, spoke at the forum and did a wonderful job. And then finally, AFT's Reclaiming the Promise campaign, which is still going on, as promoting community schools as one of their tenets. So we just wanted to highlight these, but thank you to all of you who've done numerous things to partner with us, including signing on to bills and everything in between. So with that, we're going to segue into first, before we start with the strategic plan, having Marty lead us through some ways that we feel that we propose that partners could be involved in the years going forward in the strategic plan. And we'd love to get your feedback on, are these the right roles, and where do you see yourselves, and how can we benefit your work at the same time that we work together?
So, we've always worked to try to find ways for folks to connect. As I walk through the vision and the strategy, I'd like you to think about ways we can keep working together, which is one, championing our shared vision. And in that process, we hope we will continue to highlight the work of individual partners, because that's how this works. Maybe 8 or 10 years ago, the YMCA did a big article about YMCA's community schools. And it's good for the coalition, but it also lifted up the role of YMCA. We have talked in the past, I think, where's my friend from the Alliance for Children and Families? Right. So, I know the Alliance has literature and magazines, and we've worked very closely with the folks at Metro Family Services in Portland. They run community schools in Chicago. So those are ways that we can sort of send a message out, but our folk around the country, people run the community schools, can see what the connection is. And that's all about strengthening networks. We'd like to see ways to think about national partners helping to work with us to grow more community schools. We'll talk about that in a minute. And then, of course, all the work that many of you have been doing with Mary around the funding and policy. So, we see this as a joint enterprise, because this is a partnership-driven model, right? Our friend from Citizen Schools said Citizen Schools operating in community schools. Citizen Schools, one of many important partners, working with school social workers, working with health agencies, working with higher education. That's the framework we're trying to promote. So think about that. Now, we've done our strategic planning work, and what we want to do today is really tell you where we are. Flip to the next slide, if you would. Just to keep in your mind, these were the 5 strategies that are in the existing plan. So fueling local action, part of that is what the work we do with you to get more messages out about community schools, talk to people in the field about what they're doing. We do that through these various networks that we have, all intended to create more and more effective community schools. We've been trying to build capacity. That's what our leadership network is about. That's what our scaling up guide and our financing guide have been about. These are things that we're going to continue to do. The policy work Mary has talked about, the research work that we need to deepen, and a better and stronger communication plan. So those were the 5 strategies that we've been operating on for the last 7 years. And they're really consistent with any broad strategy around capacity building, policy, communications, etc. So as we go forward, next. So what you told, here's some of the things you told us in January. We want to hold ourselves accountable for being responsive. You said we needed principles, and we'll show you where we are with that. You said we needed more of an equity and social justice frame, and you'll see that in the document as well. You also have our equity framework, which we intend to release in September. If anybody has additional feedback on that, we'd love to have it. But it is in your packet. We want to have balanced language. Representative Sharp is on this bill with Mr. Hoyer, in part because Mr. Hoyer is a good bridge builder, but in part because he represents Peoria, Illinois. And in Peoria, Illinois, guess what? Local advocates talk to Mr. Sharp. And that's the best way to get members to be responsible. So the role of partners is not well defined. So as we go through these, I hope you will hold us completely accountable for that. We should do more on teacher prep and higher ed. gave that assignment to Joanne Weeks in the Netter Center and said, you go fix higher ed. And then on the next slide, so, you know, what does it look in 2020? More awareness, more better policy, and evolution of the models. And I think that's really an important element here, you know, so that we are clearer. We tended to be a very broadly framed in terms of what community schools are. We think that we need to tighten up the way we help people think about what they're doing on the ground, so that it's a little bit more well-defined than it has been. So let's move on from that list. So we've met, we've talked, we've been trying to struggle around mission and principles. And so I want your feedback on this, and I want to share this with you first. So at the steering committee meeting, when all was said and done, there were two ways to think about the mission of the coalition. So we are the coalition for community schools. So it's not implicit that we want more and more effective community. But what makes us unique was the way in which we were thinking about this question. And there were two ways to think about it. And before you leap on this one, I want to have you look at the principles as well. So, but back up. Okay. No, mission. So the first one is, our mission is to unite school and community to student success. School, community, united, young people succeed. Second one adds in family and community. All right? Now, this is part of the tension here is related to our positioning in the world of education reform and what is the best way to talk about what we are trying to accomplish. All right? So nobody in this room doesn't value the role and the importance of family and community success. But you could argue that inserting it there adds some dimensions that aren't as clean and sharp. Okay. What we've done, so just flip to the next one. So, just so you understand, and we'll go over these principles in greater depth, but I want you to respond on the mission statement. We have 7 principles that are in your packet. Principles on equity, learning and development, partnership, ownership and accountability, youth leadership, engagement, families, and community. So as we think about our mission, keep in mind that our principles will highlight family and community. So as I listen to myself talk, I'm saying, well, it sounds like I'm biased in one direction or the other. I really want you to sort of think for a moment, and let's have some group discussion for a few minutes about the mission and which one of these you think captures best what should be the mission of the coalition in which your organization says we want to partner with those folks. So the floor is open for comments, feedback, reactions. We're not going to quite vote yet. What communicates best what we are trying to accomplish to the people we are trying to convince that community schools are a strategy they should embrace? Yeah.
So I think it's the second.
Can you come up and introduce yourself? So
can I call from back? Hi, Leslie Clark, I'm from the American Public Health Association. I think the second one conveys the mission more aptly because it's the premise, my understanding is the premise of what community schools are about, business that they are in. And that is supporting the students, but it's important that you have to support their families, you have to learn their communities, you have to make those communities safe for them. We're dealing with all the, what we call social determinants that determine, if you will, if those students will be healthy and successful. So you have to deal with all. So yes, it encompasses and repeats your principles, but I think it's important.
Okay, great. Gerald, you lead all these education groups.
I just have the base.
No, I'm going to take the opposite tack. Because I think a mission statement should be clean and short. B, I think that when you unite school and community for student success, the things in the second one follow.
that's then reflected in your principles that follow. So, and again, I'm looking at it from a national perspective here. We've seen coalition collaborative work like the creation of common core standards, political hotline, all kinds of disinformation used for political purposes. And I think once you put in words like community success and family, you leave yourself open to all kinds of, so I like the first one as a mission statement, not because the second one's not.
Yeah, maybe in the executive.
So this is with my communications hat on. So I think we need to be clear about mission statement versus tagline. I actually think these are much more of a tagline. The first one in particular because it is short and pithy and kind of gets to the core. Mission statements can be longer. They can be multiple sentences. So I absolutely hear you. But I also want to make sure that you are capturing the breadth of what it is that the coalition is trying to do and being all-encompassing and communicating that in the best way possible. So in the mission statement, I wouldn't get caught up on length. You can be a little bit longer and more descriptive. And then if you take that mission statement and want to turn it into a tagline, then that's where you really want to get short and pithy and something that people will remember and bring with them. So that's just my feedback.
Okay. Helpful. Thank you. Yep.
Well, I think that makes a lot of sense. And I think the distinction between a tagline and a mission statement is really important. I would say that the first one kind of uses a lot of messages that other school organizations or education reform organizations use. And I think that's language that a lot of people recognize and say, oh, student success, student first, student, whatever. And I think us using that is probably a good idea, whether it's a tagline or a mission statement.
Okay. Anybody else?
Yeah, I think the second one is more reflects what community schools adds, the value that it adds in opening up schools to not just be for students, but for other families. I know Elevate, I think a lot of community schools, they offer activities for parents so that they can also be enriched. They also bring in the community to be able to use the resources. So I think the first one just narrows it for students. I think the second one is more reflective of what communities model.
Okay. Anybody else? Yeah, Anne, please.
I tend to lean towards the first one in part because it is narrow, but also in thinking about the difference between a mission and a vision statement, really thinking about a mission statement as the action that the coalition takes. I don't think we want to do it, but I don't think we could just unite school and community, period, because that is the mission of the coalition, and the vision is to develop the student, family, and community success. But just for the importance of keeping student success in there.
Keeping student success discreet. Okay.
And then having a vision statement as well that really talks more about the theory. This is the action that you will take to get to that vision.
We looked, the Bill Copy produced a whole set of mission statements, and apparently more and more mission statements getting more and more short, pithy, clearly communicated. So it's tricky. Anybody else? Sanjeev?
Sure. Question: has there been debate about the choice of word student as opposed to?
There was some discussion about it. There was some discussion about whether we should be using young people as opposed to students. What's your response to that?
My response.
Well, I'm curious. I'm curious for you or others. Should we be talking about, I gather, I would guess that the student feels a little bit more academically focused, young people as a broader message about it.
I mean, as I read these two statements, I mean, obviously there's nothing in there that I disagree with, but I kept thinking back to the video that the young people don't produce. And, you know, yes, they're students by virtue of the fact that they're, you know, school age, but what they were talking about was far beyond sort of student success. So that's kind of where I,
okay.
What question?
Evie, and then we're going to wrap up.
I guess, you know, I'd have to say from the point of view of a network of community organized groups that work with families and communities, that one of the things that attracts us to the concept is that it is inclusive of families and communities, and that families and communities both benefit from the services, but also are part of the accountability measures and systems that are in place. So I would have to say that I would go with supporting students' families.
Couple more comments.
Success.
When I look at these two options, I mean, I think they also appeal to different audiences. So I react to the second one is much more, it is much more inclusive. It brings in those community organizations, brings in a broader statement, but it also might turn off a lot of the education world that don't necessarily see themselves as, we're not here for family and communities, we're here for students. We are, that's what we do. And that's not 100%, but there is that there is that perception from our experience with educators. So the first one comes more focused and trying to engage the education. So I'm not sure what okay. I see that. I don't know.
So let me try something. Hugo, are you controlling this? Can you type on that? So what if you you said uniting and then put family, comma, school and community.
You just have to go out and
Just exit out.
yeah.
So the notion was that we shouldn't be doing too much wordsmithing, but
And
what if we were to say our mission is to unite family, school, and community, which gets to, I think, some of what you were talking about, for young people's success. So I just throw that out there to see if it's longer, I know. It doesn't mean 6-word limitation or whatever, but it has a slightly different spin on it. So why don't you think about that? And let's move on for the next few minutes. I don't want to keep it, wordsmith on this for a long time, but that was one possible way of combining some of the ideas in a way that was a little bit, that got family into the mission statement and that broadened beyond students. So let's come back to the principles if we can. I think there's a handout in your packet of principles. On the left-hand side, there you go. There it is. So what we try to figure out, so these are the principles that bind the partners in the coalition together. Okay? They are different from, although not in significant ways, they're slightly different from what you might say are the principles that drive individual communities. So what we'd like to be able to come out with is a set of principles so that the PTA, AASA, After School Alliance, on, but all say these are powerful principles that we can agree on, right? That we think describe why our ideas are present. So what I'd like to ask you to do is just take a couple of minutes to read this, and then maybe make some notes or scribbles where you have a question. Clearly, this has to be sharpened up. We need some improvement on the language. But I want to make sure, number one, is there anything missing? Right? What principle that is important to you is missing? Number two, are any of these principles things that we could combine and in a slightly different way? Because, people remember they say, 5 tables or maybe only 3, right? But, you know, we've got a big tent, so it's the same problem in terms of principles. So I'd like you to just take a couple of minutes to look at it, and then at your tables talk about this so we can get some feedback on whether we've got this straight. These emerged from the discussions among our steering committee, but obviously we didn't write them down, and we've done that since our meeting in June. We wanted to get your feedback. So take about 10 minutes to kind of look at these and see what you think, and talk at your tables about what's missing, what you can change.
Yes, we know that. I can know 2 of them. One person like put themselves as private. But right now we have Melissa Mitchell on and Lauren Hines on. And then there's 3 people on the conference call, but I'm not sure who those are.
They're right. Let's take about 2 more minutes. We're not asking for a group summary from each table, but I thought I would ask each table. So somebody there is kind of looking at each other and figuring out what's give us some brief feedback. And as you get ready for that, let me invite people who come in since we started. Please introduce themselves so we know who you are. I see Alex, I see Volga, and other others. So Alex, you got to stand up and tell us who you are.
Alex Ward Adams, Director of Middle High School District.
And we live in Baltimore, one of our great community school partners. Volga.
Hi there, Volga Costa, Center for Health and Healthcare. Can you speak up? Center for Health and Healthcare in Schools at George Washington University.
Right. Long, short mission statements, long work. We all have these challenges.
Yeah.
Brian?
Brian Johnson, ASA, the School Superintendent Association.
As you know, Brian's been our great partner around the council.
And I'm Sue Polis, I'm in the Trust for American Health.
Sue, they're one of our new partners. You'll hear from Sue at our little panel after lunch. Molly?
I am Molly Gallo with National.
Did I miss anybody?
Yeah.
Oh, please, sorry.
I'm Kelly Davenport with the National Association of School Psychologists.
Right. And we're working on a paper with Kelly. Mary's working with Kelly on a paper around Texas between who works in school psychology.
And I'm Lydia Willis, representing the School Social Work Association.
Okay, so what do you think? Who wants to start? First question is, what's missing in your class? Before we get into the nitty of the ideas, I'd like to hear whether people think we're on the right track with this set of key ideas for the principal. So maybe we'll just start over here at the end, because I know you and Cheryl and your folks always have something good to tell. Can you just stand up? I just want to be sure everybody. Speak that way. I'll
day when I can't. Actually, we got into a conversation that is good about some local issues that they could bring to what's missing. So the importance of in terms of principles that you have to have leadership that's sustainable, that's stable, and that agrees amongst itself. So I think there is an example of a mayor's board and another example of sort of arbitrarily moving leadership around at the building level, which is very damage to the school district. So there's something to say about leadership, and there's a second thing that we thought was missing as a principle. And I don't know if this is a principle or an implementation.
Yeah, sure.
Is the importance of culture that contains essential conditions that, again, leads to the sustainability of the concept. So that there has to be a culture that believes this is right. So those are the two things we talked about.
Good, that's really helpful. Next. Your table, I don't know who's going to speak. Does anybody have some thoughts that they would share from that group?
We'll see.
You got to stand up for a bit. That's my. You got to talk to the group. So they can see you. Thank you.
Well, okay. So we talked about the resources and equity, and I think consensus was that we didn't want to focus resources on just being too much about financial resources. It's not about making sure everybody has the right money, but all the political resources, the human resources, the leadership resources, the institutional resources. So to clarify what that means, and that even when the places are well resourced, there can still be inequities. And the example that Cookie and Kathleen had was about guidance counselors in schools. You can make sure you have guidance, and I don't know if it's a real example or a real point, so I don't want to indicate any guidance counselors, but that you could have, a staff person in every school, but that staff person could still be treating students inequitably. So we need, that's just to reinforce that we need the policies that go along with financial and other resources.
Okay. That's it.
I'll give another table a chart.
I know you well. So let's let another table have a turn. Andrew, what's going on back there with you and Bob and all the folks?
We talked about a few things. First off, as far as focusing on an end goal in education, the learning and development bullet, it mentions a whole list of competencies that are very valuable for all students, but doesn't really speak to what the end goal is. College preparation, career preparation, civic preparation, lifelong learning. And I know you mentioned that earlier on, but maybe some findings that really help. Right. Also, democratic governance of schools and communities. allowing students the person on their own pathways and develop learning opportunities that make most sense for them. So pulling that language out a little, in addition to the democratic governance might make sense. And then we also talked about enhancing a few things. The partnership and shared ownership and accountability. I think there's a way to phrase that in saying we're aiming to engage in meaningful partnerships that allow for a shared ownership and accountability structure that targets it to.
We actually worked on that with that yesterday. We had it together, and then we worked apart again. We couldn't quite find the right language. So if you have some language to suggest, that would be great. We did sort of struggle with that. Yeah, no. It's
yeah. So and
part of this is about it's easy to say partnerships for results. Accountable partnerships, like so we'll work on it. That's a whole technical.
Yeah. And then we also talked about maybe convincing like family and community, basically stakeholders that exist beyond the students. So that's a possibility. And then also in terms of focusing on the education stakeholders, like specifically on the first bullet around equity, maybe pulling out some language that focuses specifically on education and the educational equity gap. You do mention closing the opportunity gap, but there's no mention of education specifically. So I'm sure that would be a separate bullet or a sub-bullet underneath that.
We were doing everything different, particularly in the economy.
Sorry.
Public schools.
Sorry.
Are you referring particularly to
I mean, it could be funding,
funding?
it could be capacity, it could be yeah, those are a few.
Okay. Good. Debbie, Sandy, Naomi, share.
We thought it was great.
Give those people an extra lunch. Okay. Anybody here?
Just a couple of.
You gotta stand up.
All right, sorry. Sorry. So just a couple pieces of feedback. As I read this, I think agreed that reordering it might be could be helpful. As I was reading through this, it felt like starting with equity is a great kind of overall value, but then it felt like things like family and community should come next. And kind of, so as you're reading through this, how it goes on one another. We thought that we could do maybe a little collapsing the learning and development and potentially the leadership engagement might be able to be collapsed. And then kind of in the same vein of reordering, it felt like some are kind of values and some are kind of organizing principles. About that and how you present these. And then just being a little bit clear about what these principles are for. Are they driving strategy? Are they driving what programs are being implemented? So just a little bit more clarity about what these principles are for.
Okay.
Did I get something on the table?
Good. Thank you. Brian, comment?
I thought we would go to be honest and have a conversation about the order, and I realized the coalition didn't really work the way they are, but having a community that bullet at the end really is something to bear on community schools, right? The relationship with schools, community, private, and all that together really should be further on. So according to the alphabetical order, these actually alphabet. So community, equity, families, learning, partnership, etc. You want to make it easy on yourselves. You put it out in order, and we can explain what we're paying for the
No. There are multiple rationales, and that's probably the easiest one to justify.
But the community being last didn't go right. That struck me getting down there was just such a strong pencil. We had a little Eric and I had a little help. We had the coalition staffing. So equity, I heard you had an idea, maybe pull that out, have overall have the bullets. We thought that's a bad idea because, to be honest, there's 3 sentences above the bullets, and I didn't use that until after we had this conversation. Let's get right to the bold, right to the list, and that's kind of a visual read. So equity should definitely stay on the list rather than a bullet that's kind of an overarching thing.
It should stay on the list.
Should stay on the list.
Otherwise, that was our guess. Okay. Understood.
I know in discussion about that. We want the voice our approval of adding on the list. And then not for a bullet, but somewhere in the text, probably in learning and development, probably where teachers would show up and say that they need high quality instruction, excellent teachers for the development of all these skills. Not that that should be its own bullet, because I'm getting into how many constituencies get their own bullet, but just the word should probably show. Those are our comments.
That's it. Have we covered everybody from your table and then over here?
Sure, from the table. All right. So several of the ideas surfaced that you all have surfaced in our conversation as well. We really looked at had a number of conversations that focused on they kind of hopscotched around, right, from sort of specific language pieces. For example, our thinking was that the word must in a number of these places can kind of denote some sort of dictatorial type of outcome. It really is more an outcome than it is a principle per se. And then the wording could be restructured, eliminating the word must. So that's one piece of it. It would make it tighter, and it doesn't seem so. The other had to do with the welcoming piece around families. And we all know that this is a real challenge in education. A lot of schools are not, or they think they are, and what they're doing is just like a family. So what we mean by welcoming and active participants that we focus on. And also resources, I think the table mentioned what we mean by resources. Just knowledge, but so table.
Yes, I think we also talked about that just the word family and the word community are themselves principles. So, we felt like if I can talk about class kiddos are saying more, again, not to overuse, engaging, that's not the one. Just the word family, the word community in itself. Could be membership. Yeah. Sorry, membership. Yeah, I think that's something.
Okay.
One of the thoughts after our discussion, top paragraph that reasons principles, depending on which mission statement, if we say those two, this one also reflects we pledge to do and outcomes you. And if we go with the broader mission statement, now we need that to reflect that there. Maybe the principles might also need to have more attention.
Good. Anybody else?
In the youth leadership engagement, youth take charge of their own learning. It's a little different meaning than ownership. It's a little stronger, and I think that's really important. Youth taking charge.
Okay. Nicole and then Bob.
So I guess it's kind of the two comments that were mentioned earlier, but a value around capacity.
Sorry, I can't hear you.
Sorry, a value around capacity building is sort of not here in terms of for principals, teachers, social workers, guidance counselors, all of the adults in the building who are kind of critical resources, right? So kind of open that where is the work to build a capacity in the adults to do what needs to be done for students and families who are explicitly engaged in this, but their world is definitely shaped by other actors.
Stand up. I made it a
Good point over here about youth taking charge. It's a very strong statement. The following sentence has passive voice. And I would have it say they must become leaders in every school.
That whole passive active, that's helpful. All these little nuances really make a difference when we finally craft it. So I'm hearing that we're not bad with this list. Some concern about leadership and all those other people and how we play that out. We have to think about that. Maybe we can collapse some of these things. reordering in some way, maybe tying family and community together. You know, some of those things are just challenging. We're going to work on this. We're going to go run back by the steering committee. We'll let you see what comes next. So before we start, anybody have any other comments on this? So in general, what we've got is a coalition backup movement. I mean, backup, Hugo. So we've got these mission statements that we're going to kind of work on, try to look at more carefully. If anybody has any buzzes they want to put in our ear or notes, that would be helpful. And we're going to stay with this very close to the set of principles. If we can tighten them up a little bit, I think that would be helpful. But it's tricky, you know, it's partnership, ownership, accountability. Maybe I can give up ownership a little bit there. We'll have to figure that out. I keep using ownership because ever since I heard the Yankee and Casey Foundation's work going all the way back in 1987, it was all about getting communities to own the responsibility for educating their children. So that, in that sense, ownership is a powerful word for me. But this is not just about what I think, it's about what I do. Good. Can you flip? Let me just, what I want to do is 5 to 12. I want to walk you through the strategy thinking so far, and then let you kind of sit with that and chat about that at lunchtime, and then we'll come back and talk about it after you've all had a chance to get a thing. So here's where we're going. So if you look at think first about the 5 we have: fuel, local action, build capacity, develop research evidence, communicate, and what's the 5th one? Policy. Where are you, Mary, when I desperately need you? Research, policy, communications, fuel, local action, capacity. So now we are talking about developing standards for community schools with emphasis on quality and self-improvement, advocating for supportive policies, fueling partners and weaving our networks together, building a research evidence in the base. So you can see policy work is pretty much the same. The research and the evidence base is pretty much the same in terms of the big strategy. We'll talk about the specifics. Flip to the next one, Hugo, if you would. We added one about building a talent pipeline for this community. And we've added one about making our resources much more accessible and useful to people. And we're going to still do the communications work because we've got still a huge amount to do in that space. We still have debates. You know, Mary showed you the cell phone. But to be honest with you, half the people who responded to a survey said it doesn't work for them. Now, my dear friend Jane Quinn said it worked for principals in New York. Maybe it's not a good public message. So we know we have to do work there. We know we have to do work in our website. But in terms of strategy, let's go back one, Hugo. You know, the field has not had, you will see in the directory outline the movement's done, the emerging set of standards for community schools. But we've never really said, this is what we think they are as a network, as a coalition, as a field. And more people are asking. You know, if you look at the diffusion literature, you see that we've got a lot of early adapters, but now we're into the folks who need more clarity and precision in order to do this. Right? They've got to be sure they maintain their political know-how, but they want more clarity. So we've been thinking about doing these standards, and that it's a strategy because it's really a very powerful tool, we think, for what we want. And then we talked about taking those standards and using them. We could use them in the field, of course, but we also think that it's time and necessary for us to create some online tools that people can use. If we have standards, then how can an individual school or how can an initiative assess whether it is moving in the direction that people think? And the same is true for online professional development for individual for an individual leader. Okay? Let me get through this, Phil, and then we'll come back after lunch for feedback. I just want to kind of frame this with you. On the advocacy and policy side, much more emphasis. We've not yet made a strong push around the state effort that Mary described. The meeting we're doing in October is part of that. We want to grow that. We've been thinking about whether we should be working with partners in potentially two different ways. One is with key intermediary partners who represent leaders who are, in some ways, intermediating institutions in their own communities that are critical to our work. Cities, United Ways, superintendents, community foundations are sort of the big institutions that might help move this work forward. So, if we've got a small relationship with AASA now, what would it look like if we strengthened those partnerships with those particular groups that could help us gain access at the local level and send messages all at the same time to the mayor, the head of the United Way, the school superintendent, the community foundation, and other institutions. So and then the other side of that is to think about, if you will, issue-based partnerships. So, we're going to have a health session today. And we've got some community school initiatives that are working extensively on health. In Baltimore, for example, the School-Based Health Alliance is involved in working with the community school initiative there as the system is rebuilding all of its schools to put health in the school. What should the coalition be doing with that particular set of actors, if you will, so that we could demonstrate how community schools are an excellent vehicle for improving kids' health as it relates to their learning and development, or engaging families and organizing the community in relationship to their learning and development, or working with mentoring groups or mental health groups. One could think about a variety of different issue-focused relationships that would deepen our connection to a particular set of partners and would help community schools to see their role there. We did this with Kellogg with a grant around early childhood, work that Phil and his colleagues in Tulsa were involved in, to try to bridge the role between community schools and early childhood. So that's another idea we could talk about. On the research and evidence space, we are going to have a tag-on meeting to our state network meeting around building a research agenda. But again, that's kind of the core work going on. The bigger idea is to see if we can finance a meta-study with a research fund. That may be looking at a lot of broader research and maybe picking some sites. It's a pretty big goal, but it's something we think we ought to be putting on the table as part of what we want to do. Next. So, IEL's tagline is leading across boundaries. And all of this work requires that. David Brooks is a columnist about John Lennon and Paul McCartney, who are totally different types of people. But the creativity actually came from a merger of the ways they work together. So we need to grow more leaders who see and understand that way of thinking. And that could be at the national level for people who might grow and play in national roles. For people who have done lots of emerging leaders programs around the country in the past. It could be to help prepare leaders of local initiatives, which could include many different people. It could include intermediary leaders, like Jane Grevling, who worked with Phil for many years. And we've got folks like Nicole who are playing a similar role, and Julia Baez in Baltimore. How do we help those people who are coming into this work new, right? The replacement people, and build up their capacity. And along with that, how do we grow the school leaders? What role do the coalition play in that regard? So those ideas around the talent pipeline, around the better resources, we've been thinking about a couple of things. One is, when Oakland decided it was the first full-service community schools district, that was a kind of a flag, right? That was a vision, they said. Now the question was, how do you get it? And so we've been thinking that we need, in order to inform a broader field, we might need to be working in greater depth with developing and maturing initiatives, a subset of places where we can really not only support them, but learn from them, so that we can strengthen our standards, strengthen the advice and counsel that other districts and other communities, other United Ways would get, but how to grow. And then we talked about resource centers that would focus on key issues like research and evaluation, training of community school coordinators, which is a big issue. You might consider that as part of the talent plan. And finally, as I said, stronger messaging, redoing the website. You know, for all the success we've had, we've always struggled with messaging, right? In part because complexity is hard to message. Many of you haven't read the article by in the SSIR review, Social Science, Center for Social Innovation Review, about strategic philanthropy. It divides the world into simple problems, complicated problems, and complex problems. And it says that improving student achievement is a complex problem. It says that getting high quality teaching in the classroom is actually only a complicated problem. So, and of course, we have a wonderful response to that from the head of the Ford Foundation. But the point is that it's hard to message the complexity. And we need to work much harder on that. I think the mission statement starts to move us in the right direction. But we know that better. So these are the things to think about. It doesn't substitute, as I said before, from, you know, yes, we will have biannual partnerships. Yes, we will continue to have federal, you know, we're not giving up on federal policy. Because somehow it seems wrong, you know. In 2027, when I'm long since retired, and they renew, and they reauthorize the FDA, we'll be working on that. So that's going to continue to be part of it. We're going to continue with our leadership network and trying to build that capacity. So some of these are sort of the things that we think would make a big difference in how we think about our work. And we'd like your feedback and your reactions. So, I'm going to break now. I just wanted to kind of get that in your mind, get that on the table. I invite you to get a bite to eat and come back. And we'll try to get back together in about 20 minutes or so. Get some feedback on this before we have our health friends talk about health and communities.
Thank you for the